sitting down with another amazing artist today. We got SwizZy B in the building. What's up, my boy? How you doing?
What's good? What's good? Happy to be here. Grateful to be alive another day.
Yes, sir. Like I said, it's a hot one out here. We're getting out of those nice winter, nice cool days, but that ain't stopping us. We're on the grind. You're out here doing your thing, my boy. You've been working. You've been raging, doing shows. Let the people know, where have you been out lately?
Well, I just finished my spring break tour. We just did like a little miniature run over in like the West Coast, Midwest area, Boise, Seattle. Stopped over, did a couple shows over in Austin, Texas for South by Southwest.
Ooh,
yeah,
let's go.
And just finished it in South Padre Island, Texas. It's like right in between Mexico and Texas. It was crazy for like a huge annual spring break party that they have there. It was amazing.
And let's just say, I know they be wilding out there because, like I said, spring break is kind of turned into like what, 3 months, like a block of like 3 months. It's kind of crazy.
Much, yeah. Like that festival specifically is a week long alone. So like they have multiple festivals like that nowadays. So.
Let the artists know, specifically maybe the more, the newer guys, the local guys that are doing these smaller venues. How does it feel when you get up to these more bigger things like, South by Southwest? How do you handle that as an artist?
Yeah, honestly, it was really more of like a practice makes perfect kind of thing. I was performing when I first started, like doing open mics, little like shows, like 5-6 shows a week. And then like, honestly, at the point where I started getting these big stages, I felt like overly prepared, honestly, because of the amount of
and that's a good feeling to have when you're performing.
So it was more of like a confidence, like, oh, I know what's about to happen as soon as I get on the stage, versus like, saying like, oh, I wonder what's going to happen.
Yeah. Especially when you're dealing with a bigger crowd.
For sure.
How is it controlling a crowd of, let's say, 100 people versus like 1,000 or 10,000? Is it different?
Oh yeah, 100% different. The smaller shows are usually like, I would say, easier, more intimate crowds, because you can really you can go around and shake all 100 people's hands during your set versus 10,000 people.
Yeah, South by Southwest, you ain't catching everybody.
Exactly. Like, just the crowd engagement. A lot of people like myself, when I first started performing, I would only stay so focused on the people on the front row, and that was like kind of like something that I learned while practice make perfect, like growing and doing little tours and miniature shows as well. So like by the time I got to these big shows, like I said, it was like second nature to me at a certain point.
Because I've noticed your energy is definitely like, you've got that crowd work down. And I think that's something that kind of gets overlooked nowadays with a lot of artists. Yeah. The live performances have gotten a little lazy.
Yeah, for sure.
And I'm not even blaming that necessarily on them, you know what I mean? Because if people are going to continue to pay for it, Kodak Black's just vibing on stage and they're paying for it.
Yeah, that's true.
I
think a lot of people just are influenced on, what they like.
Yeah.
A lot of my stuff comes from like alternative music, rock music. Like one of my favorite performers is Eddie Vedder from Pearl Jam.
Oh, shout out.
You know what I'm saying? So that's like where I get like the crazy and climbing up rafters, just jumping in the crowd. We're doing a mosh pit. That's like kind of where that influence comes from. And like a lot of rappers aren't really climbing up rafts and like stage diving. So like it's just really, I think it's just mainly just influence. People just like what they like because they grew up with it.
And honestly, it's a great melding of, the different, atmospheres of like a hip-hop show, then you got the heavy metal shows.
Mm-hmm.
It's a nice melding of the two. Because like I said, when you go to a hip-hop show, you're definitely, there once in a while you'll get like a Travis Scott mosh pit or something like that. But it's certainly not as common. And if you're getting in there throwing hands, you're probably going to get knocked out.
Yeah, and that's different levels of it too. Because you have your Travis Scott mosh pits, and then you have like actual mosh pit.
Yeah.
Or get like throwing roundhouse kicks.
Yeah, and I say let the people know, because I love it, because I don't get a lot of artists that deal with that kind of thing.
Yeah.
What is the etiquette of a proper mosh pit for you?
For me personally, well, I base it all based off the shows, because I do a lot of all ages shows. So like,
that's important.
If it's all ages shows, I usually like no karate in the pit, or you know what I'm saying? Or like we're doing a pogo pit, so that just means everybody just jump up and down type thing. But if it's like 21 and up, and then I actually see some ragers in the crowd, then I'm jumping in the crowd and throwing elbows along with the fans.
Yeah,
and it gets pretty rowdy. Yeah, for sure. I've seen.
Are there any like rules in terms of like, okay, obviously you can throw elbows and things like that. Are there any no-nos, big no-nos that they'll like immediately, no matter what?
Like you talking about like a big mosh, like
I'd say like a big
adult mosh pit.
Yeah, an adult mosh pit.
There's really not. I mean, like if you see somebody get knocked down, kind of help them up. There's more of like positive etiquette more than like take them, if you're in the pit, you kind of like are signing.
You're
up
signing up for it. Yeah. Don't wear your nice glasses. Don't wear.
Yeah. Just like if you like have a black eye, a bloody lip. I'm sorry, but like, you're probably enjoying it though at the same time though. Like
because I've seen a lot of ragers, they'll get like that, but then they get like offended when they get popped in the mouth or something.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, that's like you were saying. There's like the metal. And then there's like the rap mosh pit. They are different.
Yeah,
I promise you.
100%. And I think that's something to keep in mind. Like I said, if you're going to be, coming from different shows, different performances, and as an artist, being able to control the crowd and making sure they're not going too far, or they're going just far enough. Exactly. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Everybody at the end of the day, everybody is going to a concert to have fun. Yeah. And like. That's one of the things we do, especially as a rager. You probably just want to release some, built up anger in there. So
100%.
That's the perfect time to do it because everybody's on the same exact mind frame. So like, it's no hard feelings, when the show lets out.
and that's what you guys got to keep in mind. Like I said, if you're pulling up, if you want to come check them out, just keep that in mind. And I like that you have the all ages shows where it might be a little more gentle.
Oh yeah, for sure.
We're not knocking out 12-year-olds out here. That'd be kind of funny if they had like the kids only mosh pit. That'd be pretty funny.
And I did do an all ages show in Boise, Idaho, and they got like kind of like reckless in there. I had to cut it short. I was like, all right. Let's slow it down on this next one.
Yeah, because I'm like, and that's somewhere where you have to be like, because you can't just be like, hey, stop. Because a lot of the times they'd be like, we're going to keep going.
Exactly.
So you got to be able to mitigate it in a way like, okay, we're going to slow it down with a track.
Yeah, exactly. It's aware. It's a stage awareness. It's something that I've learned like that whole Travis Scott situation in Astroworld. That's something that like opened my eyes to like, oh, like you have to be aware of like everything when you're on stage, not just you performing. Like
you can't zone out.
Yeah, if there's a freaking kid dehydrated about to pass out, you don't want to keep going into the next rage song. Like you want to maybe stop the show for like.
And I respect artists that can do that.
Yeah.
Those are the best ones that are like, hey, can you help this guy out, this girl out, whatever? Because that crowd crush is a real thing.
Exactly. Yeah. Like, especially when they start surging towards the front. It gets wild.
Because I know, especially at events like South by Southwest and Rolling LoUd. Good God.
South Padre, man, that was like 10,000 people there. It was insane.
And I'm like, I don't know exactly what the radius is of how like the space is, but it is not meant for the amount of people they got packed up in there.
And it never is.
And I know that's kind of like a mix between the management selling too many tickets and things like
People
that.
sneak in too.
People sneak in. And that's like the inevitable thing. It's like you could have fucking 10-foot tall walls, spikes and machine guns. They're going to get in.
Oh yeah, dude. There's a kid with a mattress putting it over the barbed wire, jumping over just to see his favorite artist.
and I guess that's the part when it comes to the more, intense shows like that. Sometimes the audience kind of reciprocates that. And how do you handle that in terms of, let's say, people are sneaking in or whatever, this like that? How do you feel about that, and how do you handle that as an artist?
I mean, me personally, I've never seen anyone necessarily sneak in
actively,
so I don't even know what I would say in that kind of instance, but I have seen, like, I've stopped a fight in South Padre.
Wow, shout out.
Yeah, so there were like two girls that were like throwing hands. I was like, yo, y'all need to hug it out, man. Let's get this show on the road. They literally stopped right when I said it, though, and they like yelled at each other, and then security came and we got the show rolling.
and I like to see that, like, you're really good at able to manage things like that, and it's hard because you've got a lot of things going on.
Yeah, for sure.
You're trying to remember your songs, your set list. You've got the audience to worry about. It's really a full-time job.
Yeah. It's my favorite job that I've ever had, honestly.
Hey, and that's why I tell people, you really need to have a passion for this.
For sure.
Like, you can't be like, oh, man, I just want to do it because it looks cool.
Yeah, for sure. That's what I'm saying. I did a lot of tours for free. I had to pay on and buy onto a lot of tours. And, like, a lot of things happened to lead up to the point where I'm, like, able to, like, hang out with Eazy and, like, you know what I'm saying, show my album and do tours with him. Same thing with D Savage and stuff like that. It wasn't, like, an overnight thing. I had to really, like, travel to different states, keep seeing the same people over and over again, actually build personal relationships on top of, like, doing my music thing, you know what I'm saying, to like stay relevant.
And I know your music specifically, like, and I know I'm not trying to like say like there's genres that are lazier than others, but your music definitely takes more work, more practice, more vocal power.
Yeah, for sure. And that's something I've actually been recently working on the past like year and a half.
Yeah.
Because I used to be just straight rapper, and like just this past year, ultimately, I really started getting into a lot of alternative stuff, really taking the inspirations that I had when I was younger and, like, applying them to my actual music versus just being, like, oh, I'm going to just be the straight rapper.
Kind of cookie cutter.
Yeah, almost.
I like
in
that.
a sense. Yeah, in a sense. So, like, my biggest thing is really just trying a lot of different things and being very experimental, like, in the studio and just, like,
giving people something new.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah,
because I think that's the great part about, I don't know if it's like a new age thing where a lot of these genres are kind of melding together.
Yeah, for sure.
And I love that, whether it's the country hop or, heavy metal hip hop.
That's kind of what, like, there's like different, like, essence of rage music, because, like, we have Ranger Boy Taliawe, shout out. One of my biggest inspirations out here. He does it, like, very melodic, but it's the same energy, though. He still has mosh pits, he's still crowd surfing, versus, like, when I dropped my Rangers Only project, it was very, like, almost heavy metal-esque. It was no melodies, it was more like, blackout. So, like, but it was still the same energy as far as rage, like, you know what I'm saying? So the audience both, like, would love each one. So, like, all that to say, Taliawe, he definitely inspired me on this next project.
Yo, and like I said, Taliawe, he's been coming back to Florida and just really doing his thing. He's going to be out here on April 12th for his show. That's going to be a great time. And just in general, his shows are a good example of how, the melded things like genres can really work.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely.
Like, it doesn't all have to be like Lil Nas X and like whatever. And then, and that's another, I'm not hating on that because that is a good example of another, two genres coming together.
Yeah.
But you can do it, and there's so many other untapped potential.
Yeah, and there's also different ways of doing it too. Like, you don't have to have the same delivery or cadence as everybody else. Like, you could have your own unique voice, and just because, like, it's something you haven't heard doesn't mean it's bad. Sometimes that's a great thing. A lot of people think, like, different is bad nowadays, and that's like the weirdest thing for me, honestly. Like, why is something different automatically labeled as bad? Like,
yeah, why do you want to be cookie cutter? Like,
or
like,
even that is just more of like, why, as soon as you hear something different, it's like, oh, that's weird. Like, nah.
Yeah.
That's just I don't know. Maybe it's just lately how it is, but, like, I've just been noticing that. Like,
I agree. Like, I feel like the fans, and, the fans, it's a double-edged sword because, like I said, we love the fans, but I think with the age of the internet and things like that, they become very hypercritical.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Everyone's a critic. Everyone knows everything. Everyone's like, oh man, this isn't old school SwizZy B. This is that new. I'm like, it's like, come on, dude. Like, I get it. As a fan, especially when it's like those long-term fans are like, oh, I've been rocking with you since this, and now you sound like this, or now you're doing this.
Yeah.
And it's
evolution,
hard.
Like,
it's evolution, baby. Like, we can't always stay the same. A, because it's boring, and B, eventually it's just not going to sell anymore.
For sure.
You know what I mean?
As a real artist too, like, wouldn't you want to, like, experiment, like, beyond, saying the box that you probably started in?
Yeah.
Like, just as an artist, I know there's probably artists that don't, like, just do it for the check or whatever, but, like, if you're in it for, like, passionately, it should be, like, let me experiment. Like, let me try doing...
Let me go a little crazy.
Yeah, let me try a bunch of different things. And I feel like, all the real, like, I don't want to say real artists, but, like, all the artists that I know that are passionate, they definitely are experimental. Like, even if they don't release it, they probably have, like, 1,000... Dude, you make country music and EDM and all this stuff, and you don't even know because you never dropped it. But, like, they're in the studio cooking and, like, trying different stuff for sure.
And I think, and that's important too, because, and I think that was a great point you brought up, that a lot of artists, they do get stuck in that mindset of, oh, I don't want to sound different. I don't want to make this crazy new sound that, like, may not get, and that's the thing, because people are so afraid that, oh, they make a song that does sound different, and then maybe someone doesn't like it, they get negative feedback, and then they never, ever do that again.
For sure, because
they never make a new song.
That's exactly how I was for the longest, and then every time I tried to experiment, people would, like, not like it, and then, like, I needed their validation so much, but, like, once I did the Rangers Only, and I was like, you know what? I don't care about anybody's opinion. I'm literally going to do what I literally like and what I want to actually hear for myself. Like, everything changed, like, completely.
And I think that's the evolution that we were talking about, and that you, as an artist, whoever you may be, whether you're Mr., 100 followers or you're 5,000 followers, you need to be able to, drive your own path forward. And you kind of have to have blinders on, because the fans, I'm not saying you can ignore your fans, if they want you to do this or they want you to do that, and they're begging for it, they're screaming for it. Sometimes you do need to appease them.
Exactly, for sure.
But, like, if they're like, get on that Taliawe, please.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
for sure.
Sometimes you're like, all right, guys, I got you. But on the other end, there's going to be those fans that are like, go back to your old style. Why are you doing this? Why are you working with Taliawe? What's wrong with you?
Yeah, that's crazy to me, too, because it's just like, you don't want to see, like, the person that you would say you like like grow, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
As a fan. Like,
Yeah, and I'm like, why would you not want that, or him to have the opportunity? Oh man, you're working with Drake, you're a fake.
It's a weird underground thing, actually.
Yeah.
You know that you mentioned that, like it's like a underground, like we want him to stay underground because it's like the niche.
And that's a great point, because I don't get a lot of artists that would qualify as underground, the underground sound. And honestly, it's one of the genres that's really popping off. You got the Puya, the Suicide Boys that are really going crazy. But it's a genre that it continues to stay underground.
For sure. Well, it's because it's very nichey. Like, a lot of people don't listen to it. Like as soon as they hear it, it's not like ear appealing to them. And then the people that do, they're like, I'm talking about die-hard fans.
Oh yeah, like Suicide Boys fans, they're die-hard.
So it's not like a gray area with like that kind of like artist or like I would say subgenre of like rap and hip hop. It's like. You either like it or you don't on that one.
It's like Taco Bell, baby. You either love it or you hate it. But I think that's a great example, and I think Tyler Yahweh kind of fits a good way in the middle.
Yeah, perfect.
To where he can kind of make the more alternative stuff. But then he's got, his Chris Brown stuff, the real City of Dreams,
Like his R&B like bangers.
Yeah, because he's got pipes.
Yeah.
And like I said, shout out to you too, and anyone who's kind of trying this alternative route, because it is hell on like someone's vocal cords.
Oh, for sure.
Like, how do you prepare yourself for that, both in terms of like practice and maybe like upkeep for your voice?
Yeah, I actually do that. Like every show, I have like a big cup of like hot tea and honey. That's like my go-to. It literally clears out my whole thing. And then like if that's not available, I'll take like a really steamy like shower.
Okay.
And, like kind of do like deep breaths in there. But like I'm always like trying to like take care of my vocals for sure. Especially right before I like a big tour or every show. Like there's always some kind of something like I need tea. My homie just bought this. He showed me like this little steamer vaporizer thing that like helps them, and you can like sing into it, and like that's something I'm probably gonna buy and try. But like especially when you're like screaming the way I be doing, like
because that's the thing, like
2 shows in you're already hearing the raspiness, like let me get my hot tea and some honey in there.
Yeah, and then because a lot of people, once you get like raspy like that, you gotta let it like once you're raspy, you're kind of screwed.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Like you gotta wait for it to kind of heal. You could tee it up and help.
That's the only thing to do, just to prevent it from not completely going out.
Yeah.
Like, but that's why it's better to be like be preventative with it.
Yeah, like I said, take care of your vocals, especially because, like I said, I know a lot of artists, have gotten lazy with the vocals and stuff, and then when they get to a live performance, I think they're underprepared for how much, like the breath work and the things that really go into it. That you have to think.
Yeah, because it's different than like rapping your song in the car than rapping it on stage in front of a sold out crowd. Like you're gonna have more energy just off the adrenaline, so you're gonna like
be moving around.
You're gonna be moving around on top of just like you're gonna be rapping it harder. I don't know how to explain it. Like
you're putting out way more force.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
Projecting your voice in the microphone. You're trying to get everybody to hear you, and then so it definitely you're gonna need to take care of your vocals, because I've seen people literally first show of a tour and their voice is already shot.
Ah man,
and it's just like,
and that's the thing too, because like once you're on tour, like you need to have those proper practices down
for sure. Yeah.
Because you blow your voice out first day of the tour, your management's not gonna be looking too pretty at you.
Yeah. Now what now you have to perform over back vocals for like however many days, and it's just like everything just gets all weird and messed up.
And that's a whole other thing where like some artists are like, oh my god, you got black vocals, things like that, and I think they're a double-edged sword too, because I think a lot of artists lie on them way too heavily.
Yeah, I think it's a preference on the artist. Honestly, I'm not against nor with it, regardless, however you want to perform. I think a lot of people use the back vocals because they give a lot more energy nowadays in rap performances. I see a lot more people jumping around and running around, and maybe that's like kind of the reason.
And it gives you a chance to catch your breath. I think it's a really strategic way, as long as you're doing it right.
Yeah.
Like as long the biggest artists do it.
If you're actually like singing the song, there's there's nothing no one can actually say because you're performing it.
Yeah.
If you're like,
just mouthing it. Yeah.
Mouthing it, that's a whole different situation.
Yeah.
But like I've never seen an artist actually mouth like over vocals.
So that's good. Like I said, and that's like I said, and I think most of the people get it confused. It's more of a tool.
Yeah, for
that
sure.
I think artists use to help them catch their breath, to help them. And that's why you'll have like a lot of like, especially the bigger artists, they'll have back row people singing and helping them as well.
That's really like the best way to do it.
Yeah.
It's like having the backtrack, but like live. Like
Yeah, because then they can kind of catch you because like they're ready to roll. Like if you mess up, they can kind of help you out a little bit like
and
that.
You can get crazy on stage too.
And I think a lot of people forget about that. Like a lot of your breath work, if you're moving around, you're gonna be out of breath a little bit.
Yeah, for sure.
Like especially you're climbing the rafters, you're doing all that.
Head banging up the rafters, that was crazy.
Yeah.
Like the amount of like breath control is crazy. That's why I shout out Marvelous and Nubi Naaman, my brothers on Loud Life crew. They always tour with me. Like, I'm literally not able to do, like, half the things I do if they weren't behind me, like, catching the last little couple words and bars that I have.
Man, shout out to the Loud Life crew.
Shout out Loud
because
Life
it's
crew,
all about the team. You need a good team behind you.
Yeah.
Whether you're my boy SwizZy B or even a smaller artist that's just getting started, you know?
Sure.
You want to have a team behind you. You want to have producers, engineers, videographers. It's all a part of the process.
Mm-hmm.
Let the people know. How did you get your foot in the door in terms of performing and doing like live events like you do now?
Oh, like, right here in Orlando, actually.
Oh, wow. Shout out.
And when I was like 16, 17 years old, there was a promoter. Shout out G Live.
Shout out.
Yeah, he was the one. He was putting me in Club Liquid and Back Booth like a long time, way before I was ready to be performing. I think all I had was like 3 songs that I remixed or something like that, and like he was letting me perform because I was like the young kid trying to do the music thing.
And you had the passion for it. I think you probably felt that.
That's definitely where I like started growing the passion. Is the first time I even grabbed a microphone and performed on stage. I was like, oh, this is something I want to do forever. Mind you, I was like 15 when I did that at Back Booth in downtown Orlando. So I think that was really where like I decided I wanted to do it. Where everything actually started getting into motion was in when I moved over to Colorado for a couple years.
Okay, shout out.
I moved into Colorado Springs and was doing a lot of work with Live Nation and AEG over in Denver, Colorado Springs, and like those little areas. And that's where I started getting like into like bigger shows. Like I had to run around and sell like 100 tickets to open up for like 10 minutes to like a bunch of different artists and stuff. And that's really where like the expertise,
the path came forward.
Everything was like, all right, I know for a fact this is definitely gonna work. Like, just gotta.
So would you say when it comes to the bigger shows, is the do they ask you to sell tickets more often, or is it a pay to play thing? How did you usually come about it?
Well, before, like, it was straight like ticket sales. Like I had to sell mad tickets, whatever.
Like a minimum.
Yeah. If it was like, regardless, if it was like 30, 50, or 100. Depends on the artist and the venue and all that. Like, but after I did like my Colorado like local run, I felt like there was like a cap there. And that's when I decided I needed to like figure out how to go on tours and like open up in other cities. And that's when I was like hitting up promoters on Instagram, trying to figure out like, yo, what can I do to hop on your show? Most of them, I literally just paid them. They were just like, well, you're not from out here, you can't sell tickets, just throw us some bread and we'll let you on the show. And then every time that I went, I just put on a really good show and I just started getting invited. And like now I'm at the point where like those same exact promoters I was paying to literally get on shows, they're paying me for like my upcoming tours, the tour that I just did.
Shout out.
Yeah.
And I think that's the the dream, and obviously that stepping stone, that it takes a long time to flip it to that profit.
Yeah.
To where you're going from paying to getting paid.
Yeah, and they love it. Like I feel like in my opinion, I feel like they wouldn't want to pay anybody else more than me because they actually sat there and watched me like do the footwork and grow and actually grow my value without complaining and like asking for anything. Like it got to the point where it was just an undeniable thing. Like, oh, every time we put him on a bill, we get an extra 100 ticket sales for some reason. Shout out my dog Nick Montana.
Hey,
like, you know what I'm saying? So like things like that were happening, and then it just got to a point where it was like, hey, let me just throw you $500 and let me buy your hotel and your flight, and you just come rocking out. And then it just started growing.
It grows a little bit.
Every year just started growing. So I think this year is going to be like the biggest year. I already have a tour booked for July and August overseas in the United Kingdom, and one of them's with on the Manchester Carnival in the UK, which is like a huge 30,000 audience like crowd.
That's like the Rolling Loud of UK.
Pretty much.
Hey.
It's the biggest show that I've done so far. Like,
shout out. Yeah. Congratulations. Let the people know what are the dates, at least for maybe your more local shows they can check out.
Yeah, the local actually have a show tomorrow night at the Spot with Rob Banks.
Hey, okay.
Shout out Cheeseburger. He's the one put me on that one.
Yeah, I was gonna say Cheeseburger. He's a couple of my other artists. You know, he helps them out, and those are promoters that you guys want to tap in with.
Yeah, for sure, for sure.
Yeah.
This is my first time ever working with him on a show, but we've seen each other like everywhere. So like, I'm excited to see like what the whole
family can do.
What the shindig is gonna be tomorrow. I'm excited. A lot of things I do is out of state, so like I'm really trying to bring it back home for real now. So
Like I said, and I'm glad that you came and stopped by O-Town's #1 for hip hop and R&B to do it.
Always.
Of course.
It wouldn't have been right if it wasn't 104.5.
Yes, sir. Because like I said, it's all about us getting, and I tell my bosses, we got to get out in these streets. We got to get to these local events, talk to the artists that are making it happen in O-Town.
For sure.
It's not all about the Boss Man D-Los. It's not all about the Rick Rosses. We need our locals coming out here on Keeping Connected, man. This has been an absolute pleasure.
For sure.
Like I said, tell the people, let them know what music coming out. I know you have, let's see, Black Hearts and Dead Roses coming soon.
Yep, that's dropping in May, low-key. That's the album. I actually just dropped a single yesterday for it, a very highly anticipated single. Like, you know how you're talking about, like, if the people were asking for it, this is something I was holding, and everybody was just like, dude, just drop it, please. So we finally dropped it. It's called Drugs from the Sky. We just dropped it last night. We got a whole music video dropping in, like, the next week or two. We're just doing the last final touches on it. Yeah, it's out. Go stream that for me.
Make sure you guys go stream that because it's available everywhere right now. The link is in his bio, I believe. If you want to go check it out on his Instagram, all that. SwizZy B. He's got a whole crazy network of music. Whether you're into the more alternative vibe, he's got some straight up, more rap vibes for you. But one theme that I found is that your visuals are on point, my boy.
Yeah, appreciate it. Right now we're just warming up too. Like by summertime, you're gonna see some very, very like creative, nasty. Just the ideas and concepts are just awesome. Like I'm really excited for this year.
Yes, sir. And like I said, I can't wait to see more from you and just the LoUd Life crew in general. You guys have been killing it. And whenever you guys want to have more stuff coming down here to 104.5 The Beat, I am more than welcome to have you come on the show, promote it. I love talking to guys like you.
I gotta get Marvelous and Newbie out here so we could do like a whole LoUd Life crew kind of thing.
That would be fire, yeah. You guys, because like I said, we got enough room for all of y'all. We could come out, make it a real event, and
yeah, for sure.
Let the people know just to tap in to the more. Like I said, you guys, we gotta get more. I want to make it more mainstream.
There's a lot of local artists that have the music and the talent. They're just not discovered, I guess. Like,
yeah,
they don't know they exist, and that's really the problem. Because once people do, they're automatic. Like their music is hitting. So like.
Yeah, and it's like I said, it's the new wave. People love it. You know what I mean? It's whether you're talking about Yeet. I mean, Yeet's a crazy example of someone who went from crazy underground. Now he's doing radio songs and things like that. And I've had people are give or take with Yeet, whatever whatever your opinions are of him. He's doing it.
Yeah.
And he came from that realm.
Yeah, I love Yeet.
Yeah, and that's the thing, or let's say. I don't know if this is a great example, but Tommy Richmond, I feel like he kind of gives me a similar feeling to where he has like an alternative vibe.
Yeah, it's like alternative mixed with like some kind of nostalgia. He's like hitting a nostalgic button.
Yeah, like that new album he did, it was not everybody's favorite, but personally, I thought it was a good vibe.
No, it was a great piece of like art, and that's what, like a lot of people just want banger after banger after banger.
They want the $1 Million Baby after $1 Million Baby.
You want 10 of those on one album? Like, like the dude has more to talk about.
Yeah, and like I said, I love having artists like you, and thank you for coming by again.
Thank you for having me.
Of course, like I said, make sure you guys check him out. It is SwizZy B on everything. We're talking Apple Music, Spotify, YouTube. Check out that new stuff coming out. It's gonna be Black Hearts and Dead Roses, and the single is out right now. Drugs from the Sky.
Yeah, Drugs from the Sky featuring Newbie Naaman. That's my brother right there.
Shout out. Well, guys, this is going to wrap it up. We are iHeart Radio Orlando, 104.5 The Beat, SwizZy B. Make sure you check them out. And we're going to see you on next week's Local Artist Spotlight. Boom.
Beautiful.
Great job, my boy.
Dope.
Beautiful.